All right. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast weekly real estate tip. And today I want to talk to you about what I believe to be the most important message I could ever share with you. So this is something that I hope is received very well, by you, and something that you hopefully find to be very valuable. And I'm here today to talk to you about the secret to creating success in your real estate business and creating success in any aspect of your life. What I'm going to be breaking down today and doing a deep dive here on this podcast today applies to any aspect of life that we want to go out there and create success within. So if you want to grow, if you want to expand, if you want to achieve more, if you want to achieve success, however you define that term success, who the hell am I or anybody else to tell you what success should mean for your life, for your business? Only you can define that. But if you want to achieve how you define success, this is what I've found to be the secret sauce to making that a reality. And this is stuff that, I just had to learn on my own 20 plus year long success journey. When I started on my success journey about 21 years ago, it wasn't just about creating success in real estate. What I was going after, and what I'm still continuing to go after, is true fulfillment. I want to experience a truly fulfilled life. So I had to start breaking down and defining what that meant. And part of that became financial. I don't know if you've experienced tough times financially, but I sure as hell have. And if you've experienced tough times financially, or if you're experiencing tough times financially right now, maybe you can relate to this. But I had a very difficult time being able to experience any element of happiness or joy in any aspect of life when you are sitting there stressed about how you're going to pay the bills, when you can't sleep at night, when you're hanging out with friends, family members, your kids, or whatever. And again, that just becomes all consuming. So I've discovered in life that money isn't everything by any means. However, there's a certain amount of money that we must make in order to be able to experience happiness, joy, fulfillment, all of those things. So real estate, creating success in real estate, that was the vehicle that I chose as part of my success journey. So creating success in real estate became part of my success journey. But then I also had, goals with my health and fitness, to lose over 100 pounds and maintain great physical, and mental health and other things. And I'm not here to talk about me and what my goals were and all of that. What I'm here to talk to you about here is, okay, how did I pull this stuff off? How did I make this stuff happen? And I want to talk to you about a couple main things here today. Number one, perspective, the perspective that it takes to go out there and create success, because we got to have a massive perspective shift for the masses out there. The vast majority of human beings are unable to experience success because they have the wrong perspective. But then from there, I want to walk you through the framework that I've come up with. I call it my success framework, but really it's my overall life framework, because it's allowed me to create success in all aspects of life, not just real estate, but health and fitness, relationships, overcoming addictions, all of these different things. So I want to break this down for you here in depth here today. I want to first start off with sharing a quote with you. Now, this quote here, I'm going to be looking down if you're watching this on YouTube and you see me looking at the cameras, because I don't want to butcher the quote. But the quote is this: the magic you are looking for is in the work you are avoiding. So this is going to bring me into the first part of the overall success journey. In order for us to experience success, the first part of this, as I mentioned just a moment ago, is shifting and changing our overall perspective. So most people today, the vast majority of human beings today, just because we've entered this element of decadence, as a society that you and I were all born into, the vast majority of human beings are seeking comfort and doing everything that they possibly can to avoid pain, to avoid suffering. And we're just at a point in life where life has gotten so good for the masses, for most. I'm not saying that people don't experience suffering today, but for most, at least those of you that are watching, listening to this podcast, and again, I'm not trying to take away from the suffering that you've experienced, but most are able to live a life of comfort. And they then have this perspective that pain and suffering are a bad thing, are a negative thing, and they just want to continue seeking comfort over and over and over. Well, the perspective shift is really this. It's the understanding that growth only takes place, and the only way to create success is through experiencing personal growth. And growth only takes place through pain and suffering. So instead of trying to avoid it and live this life of comfort, and I'll go into ways, because you might be living a life of comfort in ways that you don't think, right? Because it's so easy today to distract ourselves from the pain and suffering, from the growth experiences that we truly need to grow, to expand, to metamorphosize into the next best version of ourselves. Pain and power come from the same place. Like the things that you have to do, the person that you become by pushing through, getting through, and overcoming those painful situations are what allow you to expand, to metamorphosize into that next best version of yourself. So then, boom, you can go out there and grow and create that fulfillment and create that success, create that growth that you truly want to experience. So the key here is to stop avoiding pain, stop avoiding suffering, and instead embrace it. And I'm not saying to be sadistic and go out there and inflict pain intentionally on yourself. What I'm saying here is, look, life is pain. Life is suffering. You're going to experience pain no matter what. There's no avoiding it. So why try to avoid it? Instead, embrace it and allow it to be the amazing teacher that it is. And I know I used a lot of health and fitness analogies here on this podcast, but it's something that we can all relate to. So, okay, for me to go to get the body that I want, to get the health that I want, okay, I got to push through pain, through, the meal prep, through having to eat, the same 5 meals each and every single day, 7 days a week, not giving myself the comfort, the satisfaction, the pleasure of, certain foods that, I love, that everybody else loves, but instead, man, I'm, eating, eggs and sweet potatoes and chicken and rice and just, one ingredient whole foods that are bland that, most people would have a difficult time with eating. Then I hit the gym every single day for 2 hours and push through, have to go through a lot of resistance, a lot of pain to go through there. But what is the then positive outcome that I get from that? I get optimal health. I get optimal energy. I have a body that I'm proud of that, that I used to not have, right? So when we look at this, thinking about that, in order to grow, we must then be willing to face the resistance that is necessary to go out there and grow. Just like if I want my biceps to grow, I have to put them through an element of stimulus through resistance training so I can get them to grow and expand. I'm tearing them down. I'm tearing down that muscle tissue, and then through proper nutrition, proper training, proper, muscle synthesis, they then grow back bigger, thicker, stronger. Well, the same thing happens mentally, right? The same thing happens with our real estate business, with our overall life, with all of those other things. So this is where we've got to take the time. Number one, we got to make sure that we are shifting our overall perspective. Instead of looking at pain as bad, oh, why is this so hard? I wish it was easier. Why am I experiencing this pain? Poor me. All these, victimhood mindsets, and approaches that the vast majority, the masses go out there and take today. Instead, we got to embrace it. Hey, this pain is here for a reason. Whether you want to call it God or call it the universe, I look at pain as just a way of God or the universe waking me the hell up to teach me the lesson that I need to become the next best version of myself. So number one, we got to shift that perspective. Then from there, we need to make sure that when I talk about embracing it, it's okay. What is the lesson I need to learn here? Who must I become to become that next best version of myself, to push through this pain, to get through this pain, to get through this suffering? Because on the other element of that pain, on the other element of that suffering is that growth. And that's where that success happens, right? That fulfillment, that success, right, happens after that. So if you want to create true success, we got to be willing to push through that pain. So let me now talk about different ways people seek comfort today. And there's so many different ways. People are seeking comfort through food, alcohol, drugs, drugs and alcohol are a big one. Technology, social media, phones, okay, an element of pain and suffering for that is very necessary to go out there and create success is you got to learn to be good at solitude. You got to learn to be good at pushing through boredom. You got to learn, but people today can't even sit in a grocery line for 5 minutes. People today, have such they can't even go to the bathroom without their damn phone. So what do I do for 5 minutes? You mean I got to just stare at this wall for 5 minutes or 10 minutes? They can't even allow themselves to push themselves to experience that element of pain, where they're addicted to social media, so whether it be technology, your phones, video games, TV and entertainment. Okay, well, I have a difficult time getting through the day, so I'm just going to go veg out and watch my favorite TV show. So it allows me to check out of life, allows me to check out from having to deal with the maybe uncomfortable emotions that maybe you need to deal with, those uncomfortable thoughts, those uncomfortable emotions, maybe having to deal with your own thoughts that you aren't and you haven't become the person that you truly know that you're capable of becoming. Maybe you haven't become the father or the mother that you should become and that you're capable of becoming. Well, then it's just easier to sedate ourselves through all of these things. Another way of comfort is avoidance. Trying to avoid pains and problems, thinking that we can just stick our head in the sand and then pretend that they don't, exist. And or operating from what I call hopium, right? Where we just hope things are going to get better. Okay, I have faith and I just hope things are going to get better. But then we're not doing anything. We're just avoiding the problem and just praying that they go away, hoping that they go away. And look, I don't think there's anything wrong with prayer and hope. I pray, I hope for a better future, but I'm not going to allow that to be my strategy plan. One of my favorite quotes out there is, God feeds the birds, but God does not put food in their mouths. So, okay, like this experience, again, my perspective has just shifted where God has put, and again, whether you believe in God or not, whether maybe it's the universe, call it whatever you want to call it, right? But to me, it's, God has put this in my path for a reason. So then I can experience the adversity that I must experience so I can grow and expand and metamorphosize through pushing through that experience into the next best version of myself that's going to give me the skills, give me the wisdom, the knowledge, the experience for me to grow and expand so I can then become the person that I want to or need to become to experience the success that I want to go out there and create. Nietzsche, if you've ever studied Nietzsche, if you haven't, I highly encourage that you do. But Nietzsche talked about, okay, like even the word human being, it's like human being, that word's way too passive. We should be called human becoming, not a human being, but human becoming. Because the whole success journey of life is about what are you doing proactively right now in the moment to become that next best version of yourself. And again, growth only happens through pain and suffering and overcoming that pain and that suffering. So again, this perspective shift and having the awareness of this is huge when it comes to this. Because the reality is this, is you're going to experience pain regardless. So now you just got to pick and choose which pain that you'd rather experience. So example, about 21 years ago, I got to my heaviest weight. I allowed myself to become morbidly obese. So I got up to 276 pounds at my heaviest. That's about 111 pounds heavier than I am today. So I allowed myself to get up to 276 pounds. I was just seeking comfort, but then that led to a lot of pain. Yeah, I had that immediate gratification of eating my favorite foods and stuff in my face, and that created immediate satisfaction. But deep down, like when I looked in the mirror, I knew I was miserable. I hated my body, hated my energy levels. It was like having situations where friends or family members or whatever would ask me to go out boating or go to the beach or go to the pool. And I'm looking for every excuse, every reason not have to go because I was so embarrassed to take off my damn shirt, and just so, okay, look, I could continue experiencing that pain. Or I had a decision of, okay, hey, let me get my shit together. Let me start working out. Let me start my health and fitness journey. Let me start going through the pain of meal prepping and eating healthier and eating in a caloric deficit and going through that pain of depriving myself of the immediate satisfaction in the moment. But then, right, that created a different pleasure. So no matter what, you're going to experience pain and pleasure. You just got to experience what pain and what pleasure that you want to experience. I know for me, hey, like the pain in the moment typically leads to the most true fulfilling pleasure at the end of the day. Temporary pleasure typically leads to the most deepest pain long term, right? So if we're procrastinating, not doing those necessary actions that we must do each and every day, and we're avoiding them, we're distracting ourselves through social media, TV, doing things to avoid having to do those painful activities. Okay, well, that leads to, we got pleasure in the moment, but that's leading to more pain. So, and again, that's where that comes, that perspective shift of, okay, hey, look, dude, I know I'm going to experience one or two pains. I just got to pick and choose which pain that I want to experience and which pleasure that I want to go out there and experience and just deal in realities. Because you're going to experience these regardless. You just got to pick which one that you want to go out there and experience. Another saying that goes through my head each and every single day is never sacrifice what you want most for what you want in the moment. It always, this is something that I had to go through mentally as well. But it always astonishes me. I mean, I chose to do the work and push through it, but it always astonishes me, how, I mean, all the agents that come work for me, or, agents that will reach out to me for help on free coaching calls, whatever, all the free tools and resources that I provide here in the podcast for you guys at gsdmode.com if you want to check those out. But they'll, I'll hear people say that, oh man, I'm struggling. I can't provide this stuff, XYZ for my kids. And, I feel like a loser as a parent. And, okay, they're experiencing that pain. And all they have to do to overcome that pain is then to get uncomfortable with the time that they're already allocating to their workday of maybe having uncomfortable conversations with strangers. But all that other pain could be avoided, but they're choosing pleasure in the moment, which then is creating much more pain for them and their family long term. Because now, I mean, it's creating pain for their I don't know, their spouse, for their kids, for their current living situation. And then at a deeper core of that, it's creating a lot of pain and a lot of depression because they know they're letting their family down. But they're choosing to do that because they're not willing. They're seeking so much comfort that they're not willing to have that uncomfortable conversation and experience the pain in the moment. That is the opposite of never sacrifice what you want most for what you want in the moment. They're sacrificing, again, they're choosing to sacrifice what they want most for what they want in the moment. They're seeking the comfort in the moment and then letting down themselves and their family. And then that creates a lot of other, negative issues. Okay, I'm going to share with you one more quote, then I want to get into the success framework. So the tendency to avoid problems and emotional suffering inherent in them is the primary basis of all human mental illness. So this is a quote from Peck. So with that, when we look at this quote, now we are amongst a time, and again, just because we've become such a decadent society, and this has been hundreds of the years in the making, it's just where we're at. It's what you and I, again, were born into. So why is mental illness exploding at a level that we've never seen in recorded history? Right? Well, here's the answer. This is a direct reason for it. So it becomes essential to shift our perspective and then take those necessary actions. Okay, so now I want to get a little bit more tactical with you guys and then walk you through what I call my success framework of, okay, how do I go out there? Like, what's the model? What's the formula to go out there and create success? So when you think of a formula or framework, just think of formula. So here's my overall success formula that I apply to each aspect of my life. And I can promise you, if you follow this, this will allow you to go out there and create massive success in any aspect of your life, no matter how big or small that you want to go out there and create. Okay, so step number one of the success framework starts off with clarity. You've got to get extreme clarity on what you want, why you want it, why it's important to you. So what you want becomes the goal. That becomes the target. But goals can only be met when we have a purpose for that goal, right? So what you want becomes the goal. Why you want it and why it's important to you allows you to then identify the purpose for that goal. The reality is this: there's going to be 1,000 reasons to why not to show up and do the work. There's going to be all these things that are like comfort. The brain, the human body, the human mind is just wired for comfort. So you're going to have all these things screaming at you for comfort, these 1,000 reasons as to why not to show up and push through the pain, push through the suffering, push through the hard work. And usually you're going to have 1, 2, maybe 3. I mean, just a few reasons as to why to lean into that pain, lean into that suffering, and show up and do the work regardless, right? So this is where it becomes important. And this is where solitude becomes important. You got to make sure that these goals are your own. They're not somebody else's. Like, goals cannot be accomplished. Like, unless you truly want it and it's a goal that matters to you and that's important to you, it can't be external goals. It can't be a goal that somebody else has for you. You might go out there and achieve those goals, but it's not going to create fulfillment. Right? Like, you're going to experience guilt, because why do we experience guilt? Guilt is when we are out of integrity with ourselves. That's when we experience guilt. Now, guilt can feel like a lot like shame, and shame can feel like a lot like guilt, but they're two separate emotions, and they're caused for two separate, distinct reasons. Guilt is 100% caused when you are out of integrity with yourself. Got to make sure that you're in integrity with yourself. So you owe it to yourself to detach, get into solitude, be with your own thoughts, because the answers are all within. Right? So, okay, what is it that I want? What is it that's important to me? What must happen with this one gift called life that we've been blessed with before I leave this planet, leave this life? And there's no do-overs, at least in this journey. Like, what must happen between now and then so I can leave this planet, leave this life with the minimal amount, or if not no regrets? Like, what must happen? And start getting clear on this stuff. The reason why the vast majority, like 99% of human beings, end up leaving this life with this, shoulda, woulda, coulda regret list is because they were never intentional with their life. Most people spend more time today designing their grocery list, designing Christmas vacation than they ever do their actual life. So no wonder they get to the end of this life with this massive shoulda, woulda, coulda, regret list, because they pissed this life away. They pissed away this one life that we've been blessed with, and they just piss it away. They don't treat it as the true gift that it is. So you owe it to you. You owe it to yourself. And look, for those of you that are parents, I hear this all the time. Well, I got to sacrifice this to give my kids a better opportunity. And I get that to an element, but here's the thing. Kids don't do what we say, they mimic, so like for me, it's like, hey man, I want my kids to chase their dreams, goals, and visions. So I know in order for them to truly go out there and do that, they got to see me chasing my goals, dreams, and visions. Because if they see me abandon my goals, dreams, and visions and sacrifice, those, for the collective family, then they're going to fall in that same trap and do that same shit. So step number one of the framework, get extreme clarity on what you want, why it's important to you, so you can have the goal, but then the reason for the goal. Step number two is to mentally commit to making that goal a reality. What is commitment? Commitment is doing the necessary actions that you must do to make your goal reality, regardless of your emotional state. Most people, again, because they're seeking comfort, they operate like a child. They're going from emotion. They let their emotions dictate their actions. You can't do that. If you want to create a matured, successful business, have a matured, successful life, you've got to be in control of your emotions, because your emotions aren't you. Right? Like and look, there's 8 core emotions, 8 basic emotions. I'll get some people, it's not too infrequent that I get people that'll come to me, ask them what their goals are. I'm like, I just want to be happy. I'm like, okay, I get that. I understand that, but I don't think that is a good goal for you to have, right? There's 8 core basic emotions, and the average person is going to experience, and happiness is only one of those. You're going to experience that an eighth of the time. You're also going to experience sadness. You're also going to experience depression. You're going to have all these different emotions, right? Commitment is showing up and doing the necessary work that you must do daily, weekly, monthly to make your goals a reality, regardless of your emotional state. So when we come at this, why it's so important that we mentally commit is like, hey, I'm in this to win this. I'm going to do this no matter how long it takes, no matter what resistance I experience. I'm not going to abandon this. I'm in it to win it. Boom, right? Like, we're not interested. We are committed. Success is only reserved for those that are interested, or for those that are truly committed. Okay, step number 3 of the success framework is then to do your due diligence to identify the best proven plan to get you from where you're at to where you want to go. Look, it's hard enough just to show up and do the work each and every single day. When you have to go out there and reinvent the wheel and discover your own plan, you're setting yourself up for failure right out of the damn gate. And here's the cool thing is there's been millions of others, or thousands of others, or hundreds of others that have created the success that you want to create. So why go out there and spend a decade or decades of your life trying to reinvent the wheel and figure this stuff out when it's already been figured out? And again, it's hard enough just to show up every single day and do the damn work. So like with my health and fitness journey as an example, I have a coach. It's hard enough for me just to meal prep and eat the meals. It's hard enough for me just to show up each and every day for the workouts. Like, I just went out there and hired somebody that's an expert in this space that I did my due diligence on them. I knew that it was the right coach. It was the right person, right? They just tell me what to do, when to do it. They write my diet, whatever. I just do what they do. But it's hard enough just to show up and execute, in addition to, spend all this damn time figuring out the right path. And here's the problem is, if you've ever experienced burnout is 1000% real. Burnout is work related. Burnout feels a lot like depression. The difference between burnout and depression is burnout is work related, where depression then carries over to every aspect of your life, where you lose empathy, you no longer can find any joy in any aspect of your life, you lose energy, all of those things. Where how you can tell if you're depressed or burnout is, okay, are you still finding joy in other aspects of your life, other hobbies, other things, and is this just work related? So the medical definition of burnout is it's work related, but here's the problem. When you exhaust all this time and energy on the wrong plans, you're executing on the wrong plans, that's when burnout sets in. What is burnout? So burnout is this: when you're putting in the action, when you're putting in the work, and you're not getting the expected reward. That's when burnout takes place. When you're just grinding each and every single day, each and every single month, and you just continue getting defeated, kicked in the teeth, and you're not seeing any external reward or the expected reward that you should be getting out of that thing. That's when burnout sets in. So let's just say you spend, 6 years of your life going out there and trying all the, reinventing the wheel, trying to find the path, trying to find the road to go down. And then maybe on that year number 6, you find it. You finally find the path. Well, what happens is you're too damn exhausted, too damn defeated, then to give the right plan, the right path, the attention, energy, and focus that you need to now create success. So then they just don't do it. They just abandon it. So you got to make sure that you are investing the time to find the right proven plan to get you from where you're at to where it is that you want to go with the thing. Now, let me go a little bit deeper of this. Plan is not just strategy. Plan is not just the business plan, the strategy, to go out there and execute on this thing. There's another element of this as well, because we've got to develop self-discipline to that plan. So when it comes to the plan, you also need to assess your environment. And I'm not going to go too deep into this because I've covered this on so many different podcasts, but you need to assess your environment. And you've got to make sure that you are setting up your environment to make it as easy to win and as difficult as possible to lose. And when it comes to environment, there are 2 elements here. We got your external environment, we got your internal environment. So external environment is going to be like, rigging your office setup, the people that you're around, turning notifications off. Like those are the things that are, outside of you. To make it, again, as easy as possible to win, difficult as possible to go out there and lose, because you cannot create any element of success. Like if you need accountability to create success, again, you're setting yourself up for failure. Accountability is for losers, right? And when I say losers, I'm not calling you or anybody else a loser as a human being. I'm just talking about losing at your goal. You've got to become self-accountable. Self-accountable, another word for that is self-discipline. But then if we start breaking this down, discipline is just being a disciple to a plan. You got to be a committed follower, or you got to be a disciplined, so a committed, loyal follower to your plan. So it's not just about knowing what to do, but you also need to structure your environment to ensure that you're removing your distractions and doing all those things so you can execute on that thing consistently for the long enough period of time that you need to have success with that, with the success that you're after, right? So then from there, the secondary part of environment is internal. So this is going to be learning how to control your own dopamine levels, so your own ambition, your own motivation, your own drive. I'm telling you right now, motivation, ambition, and drive is not found from watching podcasts like this. It might pump you up for a minute, but that's going to wane. Like we go to an awesome event, maybe go to an awesome conference. It fires you up for 2 or 3 days, but boom, that's gone in a heartbeat, right? So all of this is getting found within. And I've got another video. I actually linked it to this video. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, if you're not watching this on YouTube, it's actually the podcasts that I did. I spent about 45 minutes on talking about how to, because it's 100% in your control, where you can regulate and increase your ambition drive. So I break that down. So I recommend to go check that out, where I do a deep dive into that. Okay, so then so we got, increasing your motivation, increasing your drive comes down to dopamine levels, which is all self-controlled. Then from there, then the secondary component to internal is being able to identify and regulate in a healthy manner your emotions. Because I said earlier, commitment is doing the necessary actions that you must do regardless of your emotional state. People today don't want to deal with their emotions. You've got to learn how to deal with your emotions. You got to be able to identify them. You got to be able to kind of do some reflection and understand, why am I feeling this emotion? Where's this at? So then you can recenter yourself and keep moving forward. Because look, you're going to have more days than not where you don't feel like doing it, where you're feeling down, you're feeling depressed, you're feeling sad, you're feeling unmotivated. Look, you're going to have more days than not where you experience that, but you got to show up regardless. So you got to be able to go out there and manage those things. Okay, so then the last element of the success framework is now to execute on your proven plan. And don't stop executing until, boom, the success that you want becomes a reality. So it's a very simple framework. Again, clarity on what you want, why you want it, why it's important to you. Step number 2. So it starts from clarity. Next step is making the mental decision to fully commit. Next step is to identify the best proven plan to get you from where you're at to where you want to go. Last step is to execute, and you don't stop executing until the success that you want becomes a reality. And with most things in life that we create success with, and we got to maintain that success, so the execution kind of never stops. So when we start breaking this down, yeah, it's a very simple framework, but simple does not mean easy. So when you really chunk this stuff down and break this stuff down, yeah, it's difficult. It's going to create pain. It's going to create suffering. But again, pain and suffering is where the power lies. So making sure that you're controlling your perspective. Don't allow yourself to cop out. Don't allow yourself to go out there and depression can be one of the best things that ever happens to you. It's one of the best things that ever happened to me. The issue that I had was I was using things like alcohol, so I didn't have to deal with the depression. But the depression didn't become this amazing teacher that allowed me to growth and expand and start going down my success journey, which led me into real estate a year later to do all the things that I've done in this life, and continuing to do. I just believe I'm getting started. Been at the success journey for 21 years, but I feel like I'm just getting warmed up and just getting started, and I'm excited for what is to come. But until I allowed myself to sit in that depression, right, feel it, reflect on it, think about it, experience it, and listen to those signals, and push through that pain and suffering, like I didn't allow it to be the teacher that it needed to be. So again, pain and power come from the same place. Pain will be your best friend, your best teacher, if you allow it to do so. Pain and growth, or pain and growth only comes from pain and suffering. Success only comes from growth. So many people are just seeking the easy path, seeking comfort. They're seeking the wrong thing, and no wonder they cannot experience any element of success. Again, I'll end this podcast with a quote that I started with: the magic you are looking for is in the work that you are avoiding. Stop avoiding the work. Lean into it. Lean in that pain, lean in that suffering. Go out there and create the success that you truly want and you deserve. I hope this has been helpful. Keep up the amazing work. Much love to all of you. And we will talk to you next time. Peace.